Hi everyone, my name is Hannah and I'm part of the Empower onboarding team. And I am super excited to be hosting today's webinar, Send It Like You Mean It, with my dear colleague Paula today. For today's session, we will get some insightful tips around how to manage and create mail campaigns. And yes, I'm super curious and excited to hear more from you, Paula. Before we get started, a few organizational things. This webinar will be recorded, so you have the opportunity to see it on our YouTube channel, Empower. You will also receive an email with a link to it, so you can access it there. You can share it with your team members or view it. If there are any technical difficulties, if you can't hear as well, if you can see the screen, please share it with us so we can move our attention to that. And yes, if you have any questions throughout, please type them. You can type it in the comment section or in the questionnaire. And then at the end of the webinar, we will move towards the question, have a small Q&A session. And yes, I think that's it from my side. Enough talking from me. I am really happy to hand it over to you, Paula. Thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a great webinar. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hannah, introduction. Yes, now your video is gone and now my quality is hopefully getting a little bit better. I'm super happy to do this webinar with you. My name is Paula von Beck and I'm working at Empower for 2 years now in the onboarding team as well. And I'm going to share my screen now so we can directly start with today's topic, which is mail campaigns in Empower. This is going to take a little second because I have to share my entire screen right now to show you the right things here. So I hope everyone can see right now my screen and hear me clearly. And if there are any problems, Hannah, feel free to interrupt me so that I can change something so that everyone can see everything and hear everything the best as possible. So today's topic is mail campaign management in Empower. And first of all, we're going to start with some basic information on mail campaigns. And to start with, I wanted to show you what we mean firstly with a mail campaign. A mail campaign is basically very simple, an image that is automatically inserted into the mail Outlook signatures of your users or of defined users at a predefined time. So this is what we mean with a mail campaign. It's basically an image that will be inserted into the signature. As you can see in this example, we have the signature, exemplary, Empower admin signature, and this image will be inserted at this place, which is called campaign image, as an example. And I wanted to start with the advantages of using mail campaigns and what could be possible reasons to use a mail campaign in your company. Most importantly, mail campaigns increase the visibility for time-sensitive topics, and these can be very broad depending on your fields of which your company works in. This could be product launches, offers, or updates that are important and upcoming for your customers, or the promotion of events. For example, a webinar could be also promoted via a campaign image in the signature of your users, and each time your users would send an email, the person who receives the email would see this image, and which can be very beneficial and even used for advertisational purposes. So mail campaigns can reinforce your brand messaging and could also share values, initiatives, or awards. So maybe if your company's doing a sustainability initiative or has won a certain award, these information and values can be presented through the signature of each mail that your users send, which is a very beneficial aspect of mail campaigns. But the main focus of this webinar should be the customizing and creation of these email campaigns. And I'm going to show you how it is done. It is very easy. There are 3 steps that you have to follow while creating a mail campaign. And we're going to do all of them right now in a minute. And feel free, if you have any questions, write them in the chat or the Q&A section, and we're going to talk about them afterwards. So the basic structure has to be set up first. This is the first step. You have to define the fields of the campaign where the image should be inserted, set up the user groups that should be linked to the campaign, that the campaign should be applied to. And secondly, the signature template has to be prepared. And last of all, the new campaign has to be created, and you have to define the duration of it and so on. So summed up, the functionalities of Empower Mail campaigns are comprise the definition and administration of campaign groups and targets. So these are the users. You can define specially which users the campaign should work for, who in whose signatures the campaign image should appear. You can define the duration and campaign information for each campaign singularly, so that you can have different campaigns at the same time for different user groups of your company. And most importantly, the campaign images will be automatically inserted in the user's signature. So the user does not have to pay attention to it. They do not have to see, am I using the right signature right now? Is it maybe an old campaign image? Have I updated to the current one? So this will be all done by the administration, by Empower admins, and the user has no control over it in this case. And this has many benefits because the user doesn't have to check it, and they're always up to date. So this is like an overview of the 3 steps and basic functionalities for mail campaigns. And I'm going to start with the actual setup. And the first thing you have to do is, or the first information you have to get is that everything concerning the administration and creation of mail campaigns can only be done by admins of Empower. So only users that have admin rights within Empower can set up the campaigns, can set up anything, in fact, concerning email campaigns. So this is just the basic information. And if you are an Empower admin, you probably already have installed the so-called customizing tool, which is something that has to be installed firstly before you can start with the campaign management. The customizing tool can be opened via this path. So in the program files, you have the Empower folder and then the customizing tool folder. And there you have this file right here that you simply have to double click on. And this is how you open the customizing tool. And the customizing tool is a window that opens that has general customizing options for admins. You see the products that I'm using. You can right now only interested in the campaign management section right here at the very bottom of this customizing tool. Another information that I wanted to add right here is that the customizing tool is used in Empower until version 9.5. So maybe some of you are already planning the update to version 9.7, and the whole customizing tool will not be there from version 9.7 on, because we decided that it would be a better way to not work with something you have to install and have to open each time, but with the admin center that you can access through your browser. So each company gets a link for their admin center, and you simply have to open the link in the browser, and then you have the exact same options in the customizing tool that you can see right here. So the work with the mail campaigns does not change at all. it's only accessible through another way. So you wouldn't open the customizing tool from version 9.7 on, but go through your browser and open the link and then click on campaign management, and then you would see the exact same structure, the campaign fields and the campaign target groups, and it would look exactly the same. So I don't have to show it to you, but because right now most of you are using the version 9.5 or maybe even lower versions, and this is why I wanted to show it to you in the customizing tool. The first step that we have to do for creating a mail campaign is define a field. The field can be added by clicking on the button Add right here. It's quite self-explanatory. And then a new campaign field is created, which I could also edit if I want to change the name or delete it later on. It is possible to use more than one campaign field also in one campaign. So if you have maybe 2 images that should be shown at different places in the signature, this would be also possible. You could simply add another field and yeah, work with that. In this example, we're going to keep it a little bit simple and work with the new campaign field only. The next thing is one of the most important things while preparing mail campaigns, and is the definition of the campaign target groups. So this means that you create a certain hierarchy tree right here where you assign certain users to certain hierarchy levels or groups. We call them groups, hierarchy groups, user groups, and then later on you can define which campaign should be used for which user groups. So it is very simple here as well. You can click on a certain hierarchy level and simply click on Add, and then another sublevel is created. Right here, I'm using a regional structure for global, and then I have Germany, and maybe I want to add now the location of Cologne. But I could also go back to the global level and add maybe another country. And this is how you can add different levels and create this hierarchy tree. The hierarchy tree does not have to be based on regions. It could also be based on legal entities or on your company structure, or maybe different teams. It is completely free. I'm just using this as an example because it is a quite common example to work with the regional structure. Now, as the hierarchy tree is defined, I'm going to assign certain users to the group Cologne. Therefore, I select the group Cologne and click on Assignments. Then I click on the button Add right here on this little plus, and now it is possible for me to enter a word through this search bar right here. We highly recommend to work with user groups that are maybe already defined in your Active Directory of your users. Even more, if your company has many users, this is a way to keep the structure tidy, and this is why we recommend to work with groups, and this is why we also have this toggle only search for groups by default switched to on. Right now, as I'm working in this test environment, I'm going to switch this toggle off and use search for single users, which is also possible. And I'm going to search for my test users that I created. And as you can see, single users can be added as well. So you could also add a group and 2 single users. This is no problem and completely up to you in the end. And I can simply select the user, click on Add, and as you can see, it is appearing right here. And if I wanted to add another user, I can do it simply like that to add them. Of course, it is also possible to remove certain users from a group later on via the minus button right here. Then I click on OK to save these changes. And it is important to know that it is not necessary that each user is assigned to the group global, for example, because when global would be selected, all the users that are in any sub-levels or subgroups of the group global would be used for the campaign as well. I'm going to talk about this structure later in a minute, but you will see it when we assign, when you define in the campaign which user group should be used. You will directly see what I mean by this, and that it works very intuitively. But here it is important to know that you do not have to assign the Empower admin and Empower user that I assigned to the group Cologne again for Germany or for global. It is enough to assign them right here. If you want that, of course, it is also possible. Maybe you have another structure and have different possibilities and that you want to go through, would be also possible, but it is not necessary to do so. This is what I wanted to say. Depends on the structure and your company structure and the campaigns that you want to work with. And it is of course always possible to change this later on as well. But the setup of these campaign target groups and the campaign fields is something that does not have to be done for each campaign. It's most of the cases something that has to be done or has to be looked into if something changes, but you can create many campaigns with this data. Then I click on OK to save these changes. And then we're going to go back to my presentation, because we completed now step 1, which would be set up the basic structure for a campaign. So we added the campaign field and set up the target group tree, and we have assigned the users. And the next thing that we want to do is to prepare the signature template. Therefore, we have to move to Outlook. And in Outlook, you have the Empower Mails button in the Home tab right here, and simply click on it. It can look different depending on the style of the ribbon that you're using in Outlook, but these are the functionalities that Empower admins have in Outlook. So the Manage Campaign button and Manage Signature Templates buttons are only available when you're an admin. Right now, as a first step, or the second step in my 3-step plan, is to click on the Manage Signature Template button. Then Empower directly opens the Empower library, where all the mail signatures that you're working with are saved. So I already prepared the template that I want to put my campaigns in, and I simply double click on it, and now the template is opening in Word. So this is completely normal, because all Empower signatures and all signature changes are made through Word as Word files and then saved to the mail template folder and then available in Outlook. So this is completely normal. If you want to perform any changes on the signature, this is also the way you would work with. If we want to change maybe a field or the greetings, this would be done here as well. Now I have to select
Paula,
the location
I'm sorry to
of the
interrupt.
image.
Your audio
So
is
where,
interrupting a tiny bit.
yes,
Maybe you want to try to turn the camera off to see if that's a bit more fluently.
I'm quickly going to stop sharing my camera. So I hope this will improve the audio quality. So is it better now? Can you give me a quick feedback?
Yes, it sounds much smoother now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for the information, Hannah. I'm sorry for the delay. Maybe I'm going to sum up what I said at last, so that we're on the same page. So what I just said was that the signature is where that you open the signature in Word. This happens automatically, and then you want to define the location where the campaign image should be placed in the signature. So you can see the whole signature right here. And a common example would be to put the signature, the campaign image at the very bottom of your signature, and this is what I'm going to do right now. It would be possible to put it in any places, and I could also insert different campaign placeholders, campaign fields, at different locations. That is no problem. To insert the campaign field, I simply navigate to the Empower ribbon that is already opened right here, and then I can click on Empower Mails. And here you have the option to click on Add Campaign Field. And all the campaign fields that were defined in the customizing tool or from version 9.7 on in the Admin Center are appearing here. And then I would simply select the campaign field, and it is inserted like that. Now I can define the size of the campaign field, if it should be maybe a small and thin banner, or if it should be a big image. This is completely up to you and depends on the use case. It is important to know that the image that will be inserted will not be distorted, but if I'm, I don't know, making a campaign field that looks like that, and I have a rectangular image, it will be very, very small. So you have to keep in mind that. And then I'm simply defining the size and position of my campaign field, which could be also done via a right click and then a click on size and position, so that you can work very exactly and type in the size and position of the field. I'm just keeping it really simple and keeping it maybe like that. And then, as a next step, it is important to save the template once again to the Empower library, because if you do not save it, these changes will not be kept and the signature template would not contain the campaign image. And now you can already see that the updating is taking place, and you can also see in the preview that we have this field appearing right here. This is why I made it so big, so you can easily see it. And this was the second step. So when we go back to the PowerPoint presentation, we have opened the signature template, inserted the campaign field, and saved it. And now we're moving on to the final step, which is creating the campaign. And this is what we also do in Outlook. Back again to the Empower Mails button, and then clicking on the button Manage Campaigns, which is also only available for admins. And here you get an overview firstly of all the campaigns that have already happened. You can see the status. So this one is very old, happened last year, so it is archived. And we're going to add a new campaign right now. First of all, I can type in a name, which could be, for example, a summer campaign. Then I'm going to define the duration of the campaign, which could be, for example, a week only, starting from now. And then the important part is the target groups. And now you can see the hierarchy tree that we defined. And if I now click on global, you see that all the other sub-levels are automatically selected as well. And this is what I wanted to say to you earlier. I'm maybe only using the Cologne group that we just defined. I could also use the global group, and my test users would be selected as well. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to use Cologne now. Now, I can upload or select the image that I want to use for my campaign. If I upload an image, I can browse my file system and then upload the image firstly to the Empower library and then select it there. I'm saving this step and simply moving on to the selecting image button, because I can now, I'm jumping directly in the campaign images folder of the picture folder of your corporate design templates, and then here are several images stored, which is also quite cool because many images will be reused. So maybe you have a summer campaign that will be used in the next year as well. And this saves a lot of time. So I can select maybe this image right here, perform a double click on it, and now this is my image that I'm working with. Another quite cool feature is that I can put a hyperlink on this image. So if I'm maybe promoting an upcoming event, I can put the hyperlink, for example, to our website or an application form or anything. So when someone receives the mail and sees this image of maybe an upcoming webinar and wants to get more information on it, they can simply click on it and will be directly directed to the right link. This is quite useful feature. Then I can simply click on save, and now I have an active campaign because the duration is starting from now, so this is why the status is directly on active. I have an overview for you right here of the different statuses that we have. So you have already seen the status of active, which is a campaign that is currently active. We have campaigns that are planned in the future, and you've maybe already seen that this little notification that my signature is up to date, because the user which I am logged in with in Outlook, or the user of my Empower user, is part of this campaign. So this is why I'm getting this notification that the signature has been updated, which is also quite good to know my signature has changed right now. We have campaigns that are planned, that are already defined, already finished in the preparation, but will start in the future. So this is why they're called planned. And it is also possible to set a campaign on hold. Simply put it on hold. So it's this works for campaigns that are currently active, and you could put them on hold, and then they are on hold. And if I set them, you see that the signature changes as well, because my user would now would not get the campaign image anymore. This is why this is updating in the background once again. And then I could also set them to active once again. And this is quite easy. It is also possible to filter all of the campaigns. So maybe after a little time, you're having a lot of campaigns right here, and then you can filter them by status and maybe take a look at your archived campaigns to see if you want to work with them or reuse them in any case. And now I'm going to show you quickly, closing this window, what this would look like and if it worked, because when I'm creating a new email right here, you can see that the campaign image is inserted automatically. So this is what we did. We assigned the user Empower Admin to the defined campaign, and this is why this image is inserted to their signature automatically. And I, as a user, I, as the Empower Admin user, did not have to do anything. I only got the notification that the signature has been updated. And this is the magic of email campaigns in Empower. I do not want to change my, I want to save my changes. So to sum it up, once again, the 3 steps that we have at first the work in the customizing tool or admin center, define the fields, define the campaign target groups of the users. Then we prepare the signature template, and afterwards we create the campaign in the campaign manager in Outlook. So this is how easy it is. And right here, as some last information, I have a very complicated looking overview of how users are assessed to the different groups. But in fact, it is very, very easy, and you've already seen it before. If a user is, I'm quickly going through these 3 examples that are in fact quite self-explanatory, but I wanted to add them so you can see it once again to really get the structure of the mapping of the signature campaigns to users. So when a user is part of the group Middle East, but the campaign targets the group Global, the user of Middle East would also be targeted of the campaign A. Because the campaign targets the group Global and Middle East is a subgroup of Global, they would be using the campaign as well, so they receive the content from it. It's quite self-explanatory, and it works the same if a user is part of the subgroup for Austria and the campaign targets the group of Europe, the user from Austria would also get the campaign content. And the easiest way would be, of course, a user is part of the group for Germany, and the campaign is also targeted to the group of Germany, and of course, the user receives the content from campaign C. And maybe this is a very complicated looking picture, but it is very easy. Each higher level group that is selected comprises of all the subgroups, to sum it up. Yeah, that was the input from my side, and I'm quickly going to stop sharing my screen right now so we could move to the Q&A section. Maybe I can switch on my video once again, as I'm not sharing my screen anymore, so that you can see me once again. And if there's anything that you've missed, maybe because of a bad audio quality, please let me know, and I could share it once again with you.
Thank you so much, Paula, for your great presentation. So many insightful tips, a great tutorial. I have definitely learned a lot, and I can already see in the chat some nice feedback coming as well. I have received some questions throughout, but also from me, once again, if there's anything unclear, feedback, or just some more insightful questions you would like to ask, feel free to drop them in the chat. I would go ahead with the first question that I have received, if that's okay for you.
Sure, start with this. Unfortunately, I had to switch off my camera once again so I can hear everything from you, Hannah, as well clearly. But right, go ahead. I'm really happy for the questions.
That's all good, no worries. So the first question that I got was, does the choice of a user group affect the autofilled location data of the respective user?
That's a really good question, because if you're working with males or empowered dogs for a longer time, you might know that each user has a default profile that they can set to a different location. And it is important to know that all the data that will be auto-filled from this profile data of a user do not affect the campaign in anyhow, because the campaign image will be inserted completely separated from any other fields that are present in the signature template. Of course, it is important that the user uses the right that the user has access to the right signature template, but all of the profile or location data do not affect the campaign management anyhow, and it doesn't matter to which group the user is assigned, so there's no connection between the defined target groups of mail campaigns and the location data of a certain user.
Okay, thank you very much. The second question that I have received was, is it possible to restrict the access of the campaign picture folder in the library for some users?
Okay, so you've seen the image folder that contains the campaign images that I've just shown you. It is important that all users have the permission on read on this folder, because otherwise the users would not be able to get the information from this folder, because when they are restricted, they could not they do not have access to it and cannot get the campaign image. So when users are set to on read, this permission does not allow them to download or upload anything. They cannot change anything, but they can get the information from it. And this is why it is important that all users have that the campaign images folder is set to on read for all users.
Okay. It seems like this will be the last one for today. I'm sure if there's anything coming up later, Paula always has an open ear for you guys.
Of course,
Um,
you can always contact me or the onboarding team or me and at Empower if you have any questions or if you need any support concerning this topic.
Perfect. So the last question is it possible to reactivate archived campaigns?
Yes, this is very much possible. You can simply open or edit the archived campaign and change the duration of it to the current date that you want to work with. And this is how quickly the campaign can be reactivated. So then it would switch to active once again, and the campaign is available to work with once again. And you do not have to do all the work once again. You don't have to define the user groups. You don't have to define the image again. It's all set there, and you can simply change the duration, and then it will work once again.
Okay, perfect. Um, Thank you so much, Paula, for your great session. Also, thank you everyone for joining us today. Here, I have a small save the date announcement for our next webinar taking place July 31st. The topic we will be discussing there is how to create a well-organized library that is always up to date. Like said in the beginning, you have the opportunity to access the webinar through YouTube and through the email link you will receive. And yeah, I think that's on my side. I don't know, is there anything you would like to add, Paula?
Thank you very much, Hannah, for hosting this webinar and being such a great host and managing all of this. Thank you very much for everyone who joined us today, and feel free to contact us if you have any questions, and maybe we're seeing us again in another webinar.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Have a
Have a great
wonderful
day,
day.
everyone. Exactly. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.